morning. Yeah, welcome. You can see, here we are. It's just us. It's just this handful, It's just us. We were the ones, I'm telling you, we were the ones that not only did we have the need, but like the scientist who performs the experiment on himself to prove whether or not his hypothesis or his cure will work, we were willing to try the experiment on ourselves. Okay, and I'll tell you, there is a degree, it's true, isn't it? I mean, there's a degree of daring, certainly of willingness. That is above and beyond. Hi, good morning, welcome. Glad you're here. Because if it didn't, if you weren't willing to give yourself to this experiment, you didn't really trust that it might work. And finally, you had to have something that you could trust, something that would be salvation, something that would matter, not just going along, not just, you can be here and skate. No, don't do it. You don't have to do it that way. And finally, you're not serving your purpose. It isn't trust to do that. And you are called to faith. You are called to put this is putting your faith on the line. This is including yourself in. That if Christ is whole, if God is all in all, then your little concerns could be let go in safety, that you would be protected, you would be taken care of, you would be made whole if you would let go your littleness. Now I'm telling you, Jesus said, "Come to me, come unto me, all of you, all ye who labor and are heavy laden. I will give you rest. For my burden is light, and my yoke is easy." Well, what is he saying? But let go of the labor of trying to figure it out, trying to make yourself holy, trying to find your way to God. You will not find your way to God. You won't do it, will you? No, you can't. There's no way to God. God is whole already. You can stop trying to find your way to God and enter into that. Is it a realization? Sure. Of course it is. Good morning. Hi. Is that taking your place among the saviors of the world? Of course it is. Good morning. Wow. Hi. That's taking your place among the saviors of the world. This is bringing it home, okay? The home booth, this is bringing it home. This is where you live. Okay, this is your life. That if these principles are true, then applying them to yourself is finally what you want to do. In fact, it is finally your privilege to do that. that you take all the responsibility for this world, all of the struggles and all of the unfairness, the brutality of it. I mean, it'll shock you. It'll shock you. Holy Christ, are you kidding me? It'll shock you. You know what tomorrow is? It's Veterans Day. It's Armistice Day. The 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. In a conflict so brutal, this became the Great War. In a day, 50,000. In a day, dead. 50,000. That was on one side. In a day. They retreated to their original battle lines. It didn't work. You kidding me? Is it any wonder? I mean, I'm telling you, nothing you don't know, but the fact is that when we come here for this purpose, we join again to remember, to reenact, and finally to relive and re-experience what is nothing but salvation, what is nothing but the resurrection, what is nothing but the ascension. Does it require a starting place that needs salvation? Yeah, it does. Have we found that place? We all did. You know? I mean, it is entirely, I see it. I see it. You can't, when Dear One shows up at ground zero and sees the devastation after what he's been through and realizes this is victory, and the horror of it, it is unimaginable. Of course he was angry. You come back from that, you're a hero. And yet on a deep, deep level, you can't help but be utterly ashamed of what you've been a part of. It's despicable. You can't feel, how do you feel good about killing people? I don't know. And yet that is actually, strangely enough, that's the solution. You look around the world, if we can just get rid of that guy, if we can just... All Jesus said, all Dear One said, and what I'm telling you now is, you can take full responsibility for all of that fearlessly. In fact, that's the only way you can do it. You can take all of that responsibility. You think that the world will condemn you when you take your part, when you take on the responsibility. It is not so. It cannot be so. Why? You're freeing the world of that responsibility when you do so. Why? It is a projection of your mind. And as your mind is healed, as you take that responsibility, it is relieved of all the fault, all of the sin, all of the iniquity. It is freed, and because you took on that responsibility. Was it daunting? It was daunting. Did it seem like it was going to be safe? It does not appear that it is going to be entirely safe. In fact, it appears highly risky. Do you have to do it? No, you don't have to do it. But if you don't, you've not filled your responsibility. This is your function. This is forgiveness. That you forgive yourself for the original sin, thinking that you are separate from God, blaming God for that separation, having to worship Him or fear Him in both senses of respect and look out. You know, He can be absolutely cruel, and therefore are you left in a world expelled from Eden, in a world where cruelty honors your Father. That's it. I mean, that's it in a nutshell. Dress it up. You can, you know. And then you look at someone like the Godfather in the film, and you see, well, he's a murderer, but he's a good family man. He loves his wife and his kids, and he's bringing them up in the business. He's making sure they want for nothing, and keeps the lids on his garbage can. What more do you want from this guy? We're pulling for him, you know. When he gets wounded, we're thinking, come on, you know, you can make it. That's the world. That is the world as you have constructed it. That you are ambivalent about it. Now we take but one side. That we take all of the responsibility, requiring nothing of anyone else. Do you see that? No one else is required to do anything. Only you are required to do your part. You know, can you do it? Absolutely. It's easy. My yoke is easy. My burden is light. Wow. Hey. So, well, that's enough. That may be enough Bible. I don't know if we may get into some more, but November, big month. Veterans Day or Armistice Day. 50th anniversary of John Kennedy, his assassination. You know, if you are old enough, you do remember where you were when you found out. I took the day off of school and I was watching. I pretended I was sick. I wasn't really sick enough to stay home, you know, but I didn't want to go. It was a Friday. And so to kind of keep me occupied, they brought the television in. This is back where, you know, we were glad we had a black and white TV. I don't think color TV was out. And I was watching reruns, okay? And these were the great reruns from the 50s, basically, and early 60s. I was watching a Western that was based upon, it was designed to appeal to people who had been in the infantry during World War II, okay? And it was called The Rifleman. So he had this special rifle that you cocked it and it would fire. Bam, 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 bam. Pretty much like an M1. I don't know, I'm on this military thing. I hope you don't mind. Got some veterans, yeah. And I'm watching this show, which I think is just like the greatest, you know, it's a great show. It's so entertaining. He's good. He gets to shoot at people. You know, he's got a boy I can identify with. awesome show. And then they break in with a special bulletin that there's a report that President Kennedy had been shot in Dallas. And the report lasts like 10 seconds or so, and then they go back to the rifleman. And I'm thinking, oh my God, that is, he's dead. You know, the rifleman, president shot. This is bad. And okay. And then that was it. And then they start bringing us up to date on all the details. Curious thing. So that was one thing. That was one thing in November. Here's another one. This is the 150th anniversary of the Gettysburg Address. Okay, now I know that you guys don't know this, so I'll tell you. America had a great civil war in the 1860s. And in that war, there was a decisive battle in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was the War of the North and the South. At that point, it was turned so that the Southern Army came in from the north and the Northern Army came in from the south. I mean, it was that kind of moment. Okay? It was what they call the showdown in the Old West. I mean, that's what the shootout on Main Street is about. Okay? It's that moment. Huge armies, 3 days at it. About 46,000 casualties. And then, in about a week or so, then they dedicate part of this, part of Gettysburg, to a cemetery. And Lincoln comes out to give the address. And I don't know if you had this. It was a regular assignment in the old days that you learn by heart the Gettysburg Address. I never learned it, but it's pretty good stuff. Listen to the way he handles this. I'll just read it through. Lincoln is like, he's not the speaker for the occasion. It's a big occasion. There's a speaker. He speaks for two and a half hours, something like that. He's the orator. And then Lincoln's asked to make a few remarks. What you need to know here is that score, the word score means 20. Okay? Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting and proper that we should do this. But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here have consecrated it far above our poor power to add or detract. Here's the change-up. The world will little note nor long remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living rather, to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who fought here have thus far so nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that cause for which they gave the last full measure of devotion. That we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. That this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. So, we have been through a lot here, It is rather for us to be here dedicated to completing that work, which they who struggled here have thus far so nobly advanced. And so that, when you think in the, take a look at the bigger picture here, okay? These are the followers of the disciples, the saints and apostles, and the patriarch, the angels and archangels. This is Christ himself come to earth, which they so far have so nobly advanced. Then it is for us, the living, that we be dedicated. Can you see that? I mean, that's just it now it is elementary, isn't it? And what is that goal? That of freedom, okay? That recognizing that all men are created by their Creator, perfect, in love, in light, whole, beautiful, and holy. That they should know that, then that becomes our purpose, isn't it? How do you do that? By accepting it. My yoke is easy, my burden is light. That in the acceptance of your holiness, you now have provided all the incentive, all the help, the exemplar, okay, the perfect it's not really prototype, but it is the perfect form for the new paradigm. Okay, that the new paradigm is that acceptance. It is easy. It is light. Okay, now do we come together in association? Of course we do. Is it more than that? Of course it is. In fact, it is a symptom of wholeness that we come together. Symptom isn't the right word. It is property of. It is a badge of wholeness that we should come together. Recognizing then this wholeness within ourselves we join the Great Commission of bringing Christ's message to all the nations of the world be accomplished, right? I mean, there isn't any other commission. That is our mission. That this is it accomplished? It's accomplished now. It is accomplished now because it has been accomplished in yourselves. If it is not accomplished within yourself, then, in other words, if the salt shall lose its savor, okay, if the salt shall lose its saltiness, how will it be salty? What is it good for? It is good for nothing. We throw it on the dung pile. No, if it is accomplished in yourself, then it brings light to all the house. I mean, this is the light placed on a candlestick, that it bring light to all the house. Wow. It bring light to all your mind, to everything in it, that there is nothing within your mind to which you would exclude that light. You would keep, in other words, keep no secret. I mean, that is the one secret. And that which is kept in secret, strangely, then is rewarded openly. Why? Again, I'll tell you, because you have freed the world. Because you have washed your belief, your trust, your investment in sin from that you held within yourself, projecting it out on a world that is innocent, and then looked upon it as guilty. Now it is washed clean of sin, right? Now we don't need to resort to the Band-Aids or the little things that we would cover that they not be seen. There's no need for protection. Wow. When salvation has come, I'm telling you, when salvation has come, eat of me, drink of me. You see this? That you take this in and become that. Is it subtle? You shall know them by their fruits. It's not so subtle that you can't tell. By their fruits you shall know them. So it is humbling that the glory, the love, the beauty, the wholeness is it is yours at the cost of the responsibility for the mask through which you looked and sought to hide. Now you don't need that. Now your yes can be yes. Now your no can be no. Now you can say what you mean and act accordingly. It is empowering. There's no need for hiding. It doesn't serve you. I mean, it's like why would you want to? All at the mere cost of recognizing that I was hiding. And that I chose. And that nothing came to me unbidden by myself. And in my acceptance of this, not in tragedy, but the comedy of, my God, I was doing this. I was actually doing this to myself. Now I can stop. Now it profits me nothing. I sought to gain the whole world at the cost of my own soul. I mean, this is the bargain with the devil, You made a bargain you cannot keep. You didn't want to keep it. You never really intended on selling your soul. You're always hoping that at some last moment, someone like what was his name? Daniel Webster. Someone would find a loophole in the contract and get you out of it, okay? You want to make it legal? That's what I do, okay? That's what I do. I find the loophole. There always is one. The question is, do you want to pay for it, okay? Those guys never called me back again. That's my report. How do you do it? So you have, you find these. I'll tell you, I had this case. Can I tell you this? I had this case. It was a breach of contract case. This guy called me up, and at my request, my first contact with him, and I said, the reason I wanted you to call me is because I want to discourage you from pursuing this claim. Okay? Well, that kind of, And then we have a spirited discussion about it, about the merits. And, finally you get to a certain point where, this is like, to dramatize it, this is like Muhammad Ali, because at a certain point he would spread out. I mean, he wasn't holding anything back. When he laid a punch, God damn it, that thing got laid. Okay, you felt it, and he was willing to take the risk of putting his feet on the ground to do it. Okay, and that's how that conversation went. And at a certain point, this guy says to me, you know what upsets me? What upsets me is that this person made a claim that wasn't true. And that upsets me. I'm indignant about that. That's lying. I said, my friend, don't you dare try to claim the high ground on this one. Don't you dare make this about principle. Okay? Guy goes to jail, to prison for 20 years, he's innocent. That's principle. You know, you can't get served at the lunch counter because you're black. That's principle. This is about money. Okay? It is not about principle. Okay? He wanted to take the high ground. He really did want to take the high ground because this is about... Man, this guy it was like a balloon that had a slow leak. It didn't pop, it just kind of went... There is something about its streamline. You know, sometimes we call this streamlining, or as Jesus called it, this is the pruning. That you are the vine, and I am anything that is not of me, I prune off of you. Okay? Any thoughts you have that are not holy, of course, all of them are, finally. But what? You don't believe it. You have these thoughts, hate them, project them out, see them in a world, and they're attacking you, and now you're in conflict. Okay? This is the pruning. This is the great streamlining of your thought, word, and deed. I mean, this is right in the teacher's manual. If you care to take a look, that this is trust, isn't it? This is honesty, consistency. It is wholeness. Is it worthy to be sought? There isn't anything else to seek. Impartiality, in equivocality. You can always take both sides. Okay? That you have your fallback position. You've got your initial position and you have a fallback position. If that doesn't work, I'll try this. If that doesn't work, I'll try this. Okay? And the rings of your defenses occupy the minutes and the hours of your days in time. This is out of time. You know, amazingly, the journal comes in and offers a stepping out of time. Can it be impressed? Can it be forced in some way? It cannot. This is an all-volunteer army. That you must take this discipline on yourself is elementary. And finally, what is it except it is your own resurrection? It is your own baptism. And this is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. And you're not separate from that. That the Father and the Son, one as one thing, know that this is true. That there is no Father outside of you. And that a father outside of you would be condemnation. That impossible. This is the unity, okay, that we start with the Holy Trinity and enter into oneness, wholeness, the light, perfection. More than anything that you had thought you might want. The thing you wanted, the new X, you name it. You know what you want. This is the recognition that you want for nothing, that you have everything, that you are everything. Does that mean we're not continually redistributing? No, it doesn't mean that. It is always a ferment here. But Jesus said, be happy about this. I have chosen you out of the world. If you'd been of the world would have loved you. How would you know it? It would attack you. If you were of the world, it would love you. You would know it because it would be on you. You know? But I've chosen you out of the world. Okay, that there is an escape from this is that is the good news. That is the gospel. And if you haven't had that, or if it seems like you haven't had it lately, or you're not having it now, you're not listening. You know? I mean, strangely enough, the moment of salvation, it does turn out to be now. Does that mean that you have to change what is past? I'm telling you, the past, being in the past is trying to change it. Letting the past be exactly as it was, that is being now. Okay? All of the characteristics of the thought forms around you that you dislike, you know, that you make the effort of trying to overlook. Well, that person's, not very nice, and in, the ways. Well, let's see, I suppose there's A, E, I, O, and U, sometimes Y. And but I'm going to overlook them. No, salvation is leaving them there. You don't try to change anything, you don't have to. Does that mean you have to put up with that stuff? Of course it doesn't. Why would you have to? You don't have to. And you don't. Why? It's not real. It is nothing. And your brother knows it. You know, the important thing, don't worry about that. The important thing is knowing it. Do you have things you want to fix about yourself? Things you're not too happy with? Well, I could pick up around the house a little more. I could do X. I could do Y. Z. Double A, double B. You know, the list just keeps going on and on and on. Can you do those things? You absolutely can, but I'm telling you, trying to do them by forcing yourself is going to put you in so much misery, you won't be able to stand it. You know, we've tried that, haven't we? I tried it. If I just spend more time at the office, you know, I'm working, 40 hours plus, but if I just put in, like, say, Saturday in the office, oh, man. Yeah, I put in some Saturday, so I started putting in Saturday. Did it help? In a strange way, the beauty of it was that nobody else was in the office, just me. And I had to somehow stop sharpening the pencils and get some work done that I never got. Suddenly, when you're in the office or wherever you are, and it's just you, there's no one else to interact with. There's certainly no one else to blame. You know, if that thing is there, it's there because I put it there. Nobody else put it there. I did it. Okay, and then, now self-responsibility actually starts taking an outward appearance. This was the beginning, this was actually the beginning of discipline in a funny way. Did it satisfy me in the way I expected? No, it didn't. It satisfied me in the way I didn't expect. And that was incredibly satisfying. I mean, that let me know there was something else. You know, when you're battling away, hard to tell sometimes. So really, I mean, I'm telling you, I looked around, and God help me, this is where I ended up. And I justified it, strangely, I justified it by saying, well, I've got a lot of respect for that person, and they're here, so maybe this isn't so bad. I'm telling you, there was a moment right before Pickett's charge. That was like the end of the Battle of Gettysburg. It was a slaughter, horrible situation. They're waiting in the woods, and these guys are scared, okay? They're about to make a charge over an open field, and there's no protection. And from, two sides at least, they were the center of attention. Okay, all the cannons and, I don't want to get into it. They're scared. And you can't contain that kind of fear. They're walking around, they're starting to move, they're getting out of their positions. And the reminder is, boys, stay where you are. One place is as good as another. You are in the right place, isn't it? I mean, you're not going to, how do you know where the next shell's going to land? You don't know. One thing you can be sure of, if salvation is going to come, if God is going to be complete, if God is going to be perfect, and if that salvation is great enough that it means something, it will include you. And one place is as good as another. That you are in that right place, and this is the time, and this is the place when that occurs. It doesn't happen, and it doesn't happen some other time. Okay, this is it. The question is now, God being love, God being happiness, are you willing? Are you ready, willing, and able to claim it? Is this something that you want to, study, if this is something that you want to get busy and humble yourself and start looking, or is it just something that you are ready to accept? It is here now. Okay, that the Scripture is now fulfilled in your presence. It isn't going to be filled some other time. And no one else but you, okay? You. No one else but you is going to fulfill it. Is it a big deal? It's the only deal. Otherwise, you're just busy not fulfilling the one function you have in all the universe, in all of God's creation, in all the world. That one. And everyone lives in suffering and pain, hoping for a place to crawl into, to die, because you have failed to do the one thing that's been asked of you. What? Come on. Come on. I was trying to load it up to, make you feel some pressure. Do you feel some pressure? Do you feel like, oh, maybe I should accept the atonement for myself. Whether, if you put it that way, it might, maybe it's, I suppose I could come in on Saturday and do a little extra work. No, do it now. You don't have to come in on Saturday. This is it. You don't think you're alone enough now? You don't think that everything in your association is exactly where you put it? It is. It's right where you put it. Well, all of the compulsions, and the obsessions that you labor under, that's where you put it. You see that? Everything that you wanted to accomplish and thought that it's the guilt around that. It's right there where you put it, baby. Accept it. Now's the time, isn't it? There is no fear, How long, O Holy Son of God? How long will you play the game of sin? There's no sin. There's nothing to atone for. Forgiveness, I'm telling you, there's nothing to forgive. You're taught, to forgive divine. If you forgive, that is do nothing. You immediately enter divinity. Okay? Doing nothing isn't trying to do nothing. It is doing nothing. Nothing doing. Okay? That you are free now. That you are free, that God, in your own mind, be light. That God be glory. In other words, God is not glory. God is not light. God is not love unless you are that. You must be that, or he is not. Do you see that? Let him be right. Be wrong about your approach that you've used in the past. This is what we sometimes reduce to personality. That's just his personality. That's your approach. Let go of your approach. Let him be right, and extend that. There's only that. Now, is it a little embarrassing that, it is, that's a rhetorical question, I'm sure you. Is it a little embarrassing that it just comes out as this? I think I am appropriately embarrassed about it, okay? I think my embarrassment is commensurate with my assessment of how I'm doing up here, okay? I think, I'm not totally embarrassed, but I'm not entirely satisfied with it either. That's the way it is, You accept that responsibility. That is the least of your worries, my friend. Oh, my God. It is quiet. It is radiant. The emanation of the love of God, of light, of wholeness, your freedom, your liberty, conceived in liberty. And that everyone, then, you recognize is encompassed in that. All the ones here, everyone you think of, everyone not, those who have gone by, everyone yet to come, they cannot escape. Oh, 7 after 10. We've got plenty of time. Wow. There is no way to analyze it, really. Do you see this? This is the peace that passeth all understanding. Okay, and the analysis is trying to understand it. If we can just, can't we reason this out? No, you can't. It is the leap of faith. That's required. Okay, you reason it out until you're ready to take that leap of faith. Take it. Are you going to have to take it eventually? Obviously. But where Jesus says that learning must transcend itself, it must go beyond itself, it must become something else, that all of your learning is in the realm of reason, and that as you step out of reason, you enter into that something else. If you're not, I would recommend that you consider letting your understanding go. It hadn't helped you that much, It has gotten you this far, but then you ended up having to listen to me. See? So it hadn't been that good. I mean, that the step is into your joy, isn't it? Into your own happiness. Well, let me analyze that and see if I really want to give full expression to my own sense of mirth and joy. I'm not entirely sure. That might be fairly embarrassing. Is it fairly embarrassing? Be embarrassed about it. What have you got to lose? If you can't laugh at yourself, it finally is a comedy. That the same storylines are either tragic or comic, depending upon whether the character laughs at himself or not. Be willing to do it. It's just like, they're married, and then the woman's out seeing some other guy, and he's going to let him have it, and in a tragedy, he ends up killing the both of them. He finds them in bed, and he starts firing away and kills them. In the comedy, he says, boy, that guy has done me one of the best favors. I don't think I can thank him enough. Whew. And then they go on to live happily ever after. He finds a new girl, and that's comedy. See, that's the difference right there. All right. Hey, we've got a video in the words of the master teacher. It won't hurt you, you know. Why don't you try watching it this time, you know, and pretend like he really cared about actually, for that moment, recognizing the transformation that had occurred to him, recognizing that he was successful in the world with great failure, and yet seeing the transformation that had gone on within him, he dedicated himself. That is absolutely palpable. That he made himself that experiment. If that be true, let it be true. Let truth be true. Nothing else is anyway, but let that be true in me right now, in my mind. That everything I feared, it's not that I don't fear it, but for heaven's sake, if it's going to be true, let's see what happens. This is my call, okay? This is my choice. And if this be treason, let's make the most of it. Okay? It is dedicating yourself. It is consecrating yourself. Or rather, being consecrated, being hallowed. That you give yourself and let it be true. Okay. Thanks.